days ago, I got a mail sent to me saying that there was a package from me from Brazil.
Okay, you get the picture. Brazilians pop up everywhere. We're arguably the most hyperactive people on the internet. All we need is to catch the faintest scent of someone casually mentioning Brazil, and there we are. Brazilians love it when you talk about them, or Brazil in general. Maybe you're a TV star who got pissed off at the tsunami of Portuguese comments on your social media. Or maybe you're just a nice little Dutch girl who made a video trying to speak random languages and just so happened to try out Portuguese, and then BAM! You're an internet sensation in Brazil. I mean, seriously, what's up with all that? Well, sit back, relax, and get ready for an in-depth explanation of this weird phenomenon. Hi, I'm Dan, and this is Brazil 101, and today we're going to talk about Brazilians and the internet. A match made in heaven or hell, depending on your point of view. So, how can we explain this? Why is it that Brazilians seem to go crazy whenever they go online and find something, anything, that relates to them in one way or another? Well, in order to answer that question, let's take a little journey back in time to the early 2000s. Before Facebook became a worldwide phenomenon and eventually won over Brazilians too, there was another social network that was way more popular in Brazil. I'm talking, of course, about Orkut. Invented by a Turkish guy with a basically unpronounceable name, Orkut became insanely popular in Brazil, and India for some reason. Just like how MySpace was insanely popular among teenage girls in the US, Orkut was exactly like that in Brazil, except it was for everyone. It was mostly teens and preteens at first, but eventually everyone got in on the game, and Orkut's popularity exploded in the mid to late 2000s. Anyway, the point is that Brazilians went crazy over this website. It was launched in January of 2004, but by 2006 there were already 11 million Brazilians on Orkut, and that's out of a total of 14 million internet users nationwide. Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr are all extremely popular in Brazil. Orkut was the dominant social network for many years before Facebook finally took over in 2013. But even then, there were over 6 million people on it, or 1 in 20 of Brazil's internet users. Brazil was even declared the social media capital of the universe by the Wall Street Journal. Then came June of 2014, and Google announced that it would shut Orkut down in September. That was quite a bummer for a lot of people, but of course that did very little to actually curb our online presence. We turned in droves to Facebook instead. So while many people were just starting out with social media on Facebook, Brazilians were simply migrating from one platform to another. The important thing to keep in mind here is that, very generally speaking, us Brazilians are a remarkably warm and friendly bunch. Sometimes too much. Brazilians are not very used to the concept of quiet time. We're very used to things like beach parties, barbecue get-togethers, carnaval, overcrowded soccer matches, and even political protests are considered an opportunity to get together and party. So you can imagine how particularly difficult the whole social distancing thing during the COVID-19 pandemic was for us. Not only do we love doing things in large groups, we're also very communicative. Like, everything we know is almost always something that your aunt told your mother that her boyfriend heard from the guy who fixed her car, who heard it from the girl he met while playing soccer in the park with his buddies. And then you give Brazilians internet access? Ha! Now you've got them sharing and posting stuff without a second thought. But we're not just passive consumers and reposters of information. We also create a lot of content ourselves. There's a quote by the American poet and Grateful Dead lyricist John Perry Barlow that really hits the nail on the head when it comes to explaining our relation with the internet. He said, "Brazil is an enormous inside joke, and the internet is a mass conversation. Brazil was the internet before the internet even existed." Brazilian society is incredibly dynamic and interconnected, as well as very outgoing and intentionally absurd. The internet would then become the perfect breeding ground for us and our memes. So, Brazilians have been used to talking to friends, co-workers, relatives, and even distant relatives on the phone since forever. And now, thanks to the internet, we can talk to everybody in the entire world! Yay! Okay, so we've established now that Brazilians and the internet were pretty much made for each other. But what about that question I posed at the start of the video? Is it a match made in heaven or hell? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, it depends. Can you take the hit? Do you have thick skin? We have a saying here in Brazil. Se você não sabe brincar, não desce pro play. Which basically means, if you don't know how to play, don't come down to the playground. See, in Brazilian culture, it's very important to be able to show others that the things they say don't affect you. When you enter a new group of friends, people are gonna try to ruffle your feathers. And if you can show that the teasing didn't affect you and you respond in a playful manner, you pass the test. You are now officially one of us. But if you don't, may God have mercy on your soul. Don't believe us? Ask Tyler James Williams. He got so overwhelmed by Brazilian fans of the show Everybody Hates Chris that he had to publicly ask us to pretty please leave him the fuck alone. And then he had to block us when we wouldn't. If you're not exactly sure what I'm talking about, here's a short briefing of the situation. Everybody Hates Chris was huge in Brazil. Seriously, Brazilians loved it. The show really resonated with a lot of us because of how relatable it was to our own experiences growing up in rough urban areas. The show was so popular that snippets from the show quickly became memes to express our feelings and frustrations about life and whatnot. And naturally, Brazilians all wanted to follow the people involved in the show on social media. Thanks to that, every time that Tyler James posted something, there would always be someone ready to comment in Portuguese associating whatever was in the post to something in the show. For example, if he posted a picture of himself holding something, say, a little dog, Brazilians would comment saying, "Isso é um bebê?" Which means, "Is that a baby?" in reference to the trope on the show that whenever young Chris was carrying something, his mother would always ask that same question.
Is that a baby? No, it's a shoebox.
Or another example. One time Tyler posted a picture of several scripts he was working on for new projects, and Brazilians all decided to kindly remind him that he didn't need any of that. After all, his dad has 2 jobs. And there are several cases like that. I think there might not be a single Instagram post of his that doesn't have a Brazilian making a comment with some kind of association with the show. Tyler was not exactly pleased with this situation, since to him it was just a bunch of random comments in a language he couldn't understand, so he kindly asked us to back the fuck off. Of course, we took the hint, and we're all very reasonable about this whole thing and decided to leave him alone. Except of course we didn't, don't be ridiculous, we're Brazilians. Instead, we doubled down and flooded his social media posts even more. It's been like this for the last 7 years. And counting. Sorry, Tyler James. Hashtag sorry not sorry. We weren't doing it to annoy him on purpose originally, but Tyler made the fatal mistake of showing that he was in fact annoyed, which, as I explained earlier, is the one thing you cannot do, otherwise you fail the test. It's not that we hate Tyler or anything like that. For us, this whole thing is all in good fun, of course. Hashtag no bullying. We actually have a saying that goes, "A gente perde o amigo, mas não perde a piada," which means we lose the friend, but we don't lose the joke. Which of course is not meant to be taken literally. We don't really like to lose our friends over dumb jokes. It's just that in Brazilian culture, it's so natural to expect that people will take these kinds of things in stride that we don't usually have to worry about our friends actually being offended. Hashtag no bullying, hashtag for real this time, hashtag seriously guys, I mean it. This has an obvious negative side, as you can tell, but it also has a positive one as well, in that we tend to express ourselves more freely and are usually not at all shy or reserved when interacting with new people. So yeah, it's not all about irritated celebrities, weird laughs, and memes. It's also sometimes things like what happened to that Dutch girl that I mentioned in the intro. Her name is Ninka Heldhaus, and she used to be just a regular Dutch teenager making some YouTube videos for fun. In one of those videos, she was trying to speak random languages by repeating phrases from Google Translate, and she just happened to choose Portuguese for no particular reason. And then suddenly, she was an internet sensation in Brazil. She now has an army of adoring fans who would end up sending her Brazilian snacks for her to try and encouraging her to fly across the ocean and meet them face to face. She made one video, and that video changed her life and her career overnight. All because she was trying to speak our language, and we were delighted by it. She says she was quite surprised by the reaction from Brazilians, since she did not get anywhere near the same reaction from people who spoke the other languages that she also made videos trying to speak. No, it was just Brazilians who went nuts over her. First, a YouTube video trying to speak Portuguese. Then, someone from Brazil sent her a gift package with Brazilian snacks for her to try. And the rest was history. Her channel is now almost entirely devoted to her love affair with Brazil. She learned to speak Portuguese, properly, and has even visited here a couple times, making friends with several Brazilian YouTube celebrities, all because of the warm, friendly, and outgoing nature of Brazilians. But of course, it goes both ways. Ninka herself also seems to be a very warm, friendly, and outgoing person, so she and her Brazilian fans were destined to hit it off, so to speak. And this is not an isolated case. We also have similar cases in Japan, the US, and other countries as well. YouTubers who focus on Brazilians as their target audience or react to videos about elements of Brazilian culture. Thanks guys, we appreciate being appreciated. Shout out to Olga do Brasil, Olaguchi, Coreana Nana, Pula Muralha, Polcabanes, Leia Maria, Guni Googles, Tinha Explica, Pereira Horácio Jr., Angolano React, and lots more. There are too many to mention them all, but we love and appreciate every single one of you guys. Seriously. But anyway, I think the key factor for these YouTubers' success with Brazilian viewers is the fact that they make Brazilians feel appreciated. From the first moment that Ninka began talking about Brazil on her channel, she always displayed interest and admiration for her country. I believe that one of the key issues that Brazilians tend to deal with is low national self-esteem. We're a very big country, and yet for most of our history, we were not very relevant to the rest of the world. This has been changing in recent years, of course, but I think that for many Brazilians, it's still something that we're not very used to. We still act like getting attention from foreigners is this rare and precious thing, and so we're irresistibly drawn towards stuff that is about us on the interwebs. I mean, we all agree that it's nice to be acknowledged. It's nice when someone looks at you and says, "Hey, you exist, you're interesting, and you matter." And that's all that Brazilians are after. So be nice to us. We promise you won't regret it. Or will you? Seriously though, try to imagine yourself as a Brazilian who grew up before the internet age. You live your daily life consuming foreign media. Anime from Japan, movies and sitcoms from the US, even our own soap operas had to compete with Mexican ones. In Brazil. And American, Japanese, European, and to some extent even our Latin American neighbors' history and culture were well known to the rest of the world, while ours just wasn't. So when the internet finally popped up at the end of the 90s, we realized how little people actually knew about us. Imagine having so many hilarious jokes, interesting conversation topics, and just overall stuff to talk about and discuss, and nobody to share that with because nobody is even aware that you exist. That's the situation we found ourselves in at the turn of the millennium, and it seems like we Brazilians have made it our mission to rectify it ever since. And I guess that also includes this channel. That's kind of what we're doing, making sure you know about Brazil and how bizarre and awesome it is. And we hope you'll stick around to learn some more. Thanks for watching this video. As you already know by now, Brazil 101 is a project that focuses on bringing you all kinds of Brazil-related content. So naturally, we want to know what you're interested in learning about Brazil, and that means we want you to share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications on future videos. See you guys next time. Bye!